Alrighty, so today I'm here with another one-shot review. Just watched another movie. Watched Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is the prequel movie to the Jujutsu Kaisen anime that came out last year, maybe even 2 years ago, but it's now coming out with the second season around right now. They just went on break. This basically details what happens in between, what happened in what we've seen so far of season 2, and what happened in season 1. But this story follows the, I guess, the origin and the conclusion. But he didn't die, so it's not over yet. He's still around in the series, I guess. But of this character, Yuta, and essentially the story is, he was very good friends with this one girl as a child, and she gets ran over by a car, and then her cursed apparition is following him around for the rest of his life, basically beating up all of his bullies, but to a bloody pulp, and it's very problematic. He's like doing all these things to try and either stop her, or he feels guilty for the damage that she causes. So he tries to kill himself in multiple, or at least references trying to kill himself. It did not working because she protects him. And the beginning of the movie opens up to this scene where he's getting basically terrorized by some bullies, and he's saying like, no, don't touch me. But he's actually not talking about them. He's talking about her, and then she shoves him into a locker, and it's pretty gross, but cool. I really like this movie a lot. This is probably maybe the 8th time I've seen this movie, because I used to watch it when I would take flights to travel for work, since it was on Crunchyroll. But what I like a lot about this movie is that while it is an anime movie, which sometimes, most of the time is like a canon sort of filler arc situation, this one does actually play into the story and the plot development, and it does have an impact on, I guess, your understanding of the environment as a whole, or the world building, which is another cool thing about this series in general, is that while we do have that main character of Yuji, it seems like the main character is really the universe that all these events are happening in, and it just so happens that in the present timeline, the person that we see a lot of those events through is Yuji. But as you can see from the beginning of the second season, dealing more with Gojo and one of the big characters in this movie, or I guess the villain, Geto Suguru, you get to see those events before Yuji is even a part of the story. You get to see this before Yuji is even a part of the story, and it all sort of starts to build out this understanding of what's going on in this universe, and it's really interesting. I think that another thing that I like about this movie is that the overall lesson that you learn as a result is essentially that, this guy is struggling to find purpose in life and struggling to find his reason for, like similar to a Nico Robin situation, his justification for being alive, despite the fact that he's caused all this trauma to other people, to himself, whatever. And he finds that justification through basically, self-improvement and finding a way to be dependable for other people, which I think is kind of based. So, over the course of the movie, you see him figure out ways to deal with his inability to control this power and eventually get control over it. You see him grow in many ways as he starts to find meaning in his ability to help others and be, a part of this whole Jujutsu High situation. And then this also does a good job of tying into what we eventually discover in season 2 about, how does Geto Suguru end up after he decides that human race who don't know how to use Jujutsu sorcery don't need to be alive. Which I think is interesting now, seeing this movie after seeing the backstory that spawned his hate for humans that can't use Jujutsu sorcery, is kind of interesting, because while I do think that he still is in this movie somewhat like mentally corrupted, or obviously morally corrupted, but in the beginning, his like you do sort of sympathize with him at least a little bit, because now you have more context to the fact of, like, obvious spoilers incoming, that what the reason why he turned on the human race was that, after he had witnessed multiple of his peers dying to protect humans who can't use jujutsu, um, sorcery, and the cause of these curses existing is the fact that humans who don't know how to control their cursed energy because they know nothing about jujutsu sorcery, basically get all worked up, and those negative emotions create these apparitions. So then he gets suggested the idea that, if these humans no longer existed, then, and there were only the humans that could do jujutsu sorcery, then there would no longer be a problem with all these curses killing humans, including like his friends. So I do have sympathy for that. Obviously, I'm not partial to the take that there needs to be any sort of mass culling for any reason. I think that his original morals in the beginning, before he became corrupted, about, a strong society is one that protects the weak, is definitely true, profound. So it's just it is a complex character, and I think in this movie he's kind of already over the hump so much that he acknowledges that later on, like at the end of the movie when he's talking about, I didn't know I had any trust left in me, or left for me. But regardless, I think his character and having that extra context to it now almost enriches it just a little bit more. But the main reason why I've watched this movie so many times is that the production value on it is just awesome, and it doesn't waste your time. It gives you some interesting information about sort of what's going on in this world, and it itself is an interesting story plot-wise. I think that it helps further the understanding of that dynamic between Gojo and Geto, but also you see this awesome story about someone who's able to grow and find purpose and meaning in helping others. And I think that it would be cool if, people woke up to that reality in our world a little bit more. So that being said, obviously some other things I like about this movie is the fights are freaking top notch. The animation is awesome. It definitely has that positive side of the Mappa effect going on. And overall, I think the main character and his essentially limitless ability to draw upon cursed energy serves for an interesting character in the show, especially with how, I think the first time I watched it, I didn't realize what Geto really meant when he was saying, if I could have Rika, then everything that I want to do, I no longer have to collect all these curses. I can just go and do what I want. And when you put that in the context of the last thing that he said to Gojo, being like, if I was as strong as you, then you would take my ambition seriously. I think that's very interesting, because I didn't draw the connection that with her being a cursed spirit, at least to our knowledge at the time, that had a limitless amount of cursed energy to draw upon, and him having the ability to manipulate any cursed spirit, it does sort of allow him to have a power that directly, or in at least somewhat, matches up to the strength of Gojo's inherent power that he got from birth. So, with that being said, I think that's a pretty cool thing as well. I could talk about this movie for days, but if I'm going to go ahead and sum up my thoughts and opinions and plug it into my rating system, I would say that if you had the chance to see this in theaters and you were a fan of season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, you should have seen it in theaters. I saw it in theaters. It must have been like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was awesome. I will say, though, at the time, I think we might have seen it in like a Dolby Atmos theater, and those are always super loud. But the theater experience was awesome, but obviously you can't do that anymore. So if you have Crunchyroll, you can watch it on there. That's probably the way to do it. I'm into buying physical media, so I have the Blu-ray. But I would definitely see it, and obviously your only choice is to see it at home, so see it at home. And then on top of that, I think that for this one, because it is an anime movie, I'm going to say this is in terms of all movies, a 4 out of 5. But in terms of anime movies specifically, this is a 5 out of 5 because rarely do you get anime movies that have to deal with a long-running series that actually have like decent substance going on or pushing the plot forward or are even canon in general. I'm excited. I haven't seen One Piece Stampede yet, but I think that'll be another one that I enjoy. But a lot of anime movies sort of rush through plot points and to get to that final battle that everybody wanted to see, and then that's it. This one is a little bit more of a movie, and I think that's pretty cool. So that being said, like I said, definitely see this movie, watch it at home, watch it on Crunchyroll, get the Blu-ray if you're into physical media, and I'd give it a 4 out of 5 with normal movies and a 5 out of 5 out of anime movies. But yeah, that's it. That's Jujutsu Kaisen 0. If you made it to this point in the video, I'm trying to work on my ability to speak with full volume and use my personality in these videos. So hopefully that improved from the last one I recorded. And then on top of that, if there's anything you have feedback-wise that you want to give me on how I could do these videos better that doesn't involve me like getting a studio or doing anything crazy, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what that is. And if you feel like you wanted to leave a dislike on this video, then I especially want you to leave that dislike and tell me in the comments why you disliked the video. If you do not give me the feedback, I cannot grow. So then you're just shouting in the void by leaving that dislike. So basically, I'll see you guys in the next one. Not sure what the next one's going to be, but that's it.